call the meeting to order of January 13th, 2020. And the first order of business, we have delegation, Garth and
Gareth.
Garth?
Gareth.
Garth.
Gareth.
Garth.
I like it.
Yeah.
Just don't call him late for dinner.
I can't spell Gareth, but I can spell Garth.
So, we do have a short, just like 4-minute video,
Sure, sorry.
and then we'll talk to you guys about a letter that I dropped off the other day.
We're, digital. We have it.
I've already seen this.
40 times. I don't see
The Hub
it.
Online Network is a digital broadcasting network focusing on Ashcroft, Cache Creek, Bonaparte First Nations, and Ashcroft First Nations. This project is spearheaded by the Ashcroft Hub and is funded through the Job Creation Program at Work BC. It is also funded by Heritage Canada through Cactus Media.
The Hub Online Network, also known as HON for short, strives to be a creative community collaboration with a strong commitment to community programming. The HON currently creates community spotlights, documentaries, and civic community reports.
The main topics that we cover include economy, tourism and history, Indigenous and local culture, music and arts, sports and health, current events, and local information. These shows are produced by full-time employees Garrett Smart and Dana Foster, with help from our project manager Jessica Clement. We also have a handful of volunteers that help them as well.
Although there are many websites dedicated to news and entertainment in existence, the HON highlights issues that are important to local population and are overlooked by these mainstream sites.
Local communities are generally forced to consume online content through the lens of the national news programs or special interest pieces. The HON strives to create great community content that currently focuses on the Ash Creek communities. Community collaboration will happen through workshops, training, and hands-on experience, which will give community groups and individuals the tools they need to produce their own content about issues that are most important to them.
The HON maintains close contact with its audience through our social media portals, including Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. To reach an even wider audience, liking, sharing, and commenting on our posts is something that each one of you can do to help out. To this point, our focus has been on video creation, but we are looking at other forms of media such as podcasts and vlogging.
One of the next steps for the HON is to try and make this endeavor self-sustainable. Some of the ways that we think we can achieve this is through sponsorship in video ads and product placement.
A new part of the Hub Online Network team is a local civic journalist. This position is funded by Heritage Canada to make digital civic videos in underserved areas of Canada.
You might be wondering what civic journalism is. By the definition handed down by Heritage Canada, civic journalism is the collection, investigation, and dissemination of information for a public audience. This information may cover the activities of the country's civic institutions, for example, courthouses, city halls, band councils, school boards, federal parliament, and provincial legislatures, as well as subjects of public importance to society.
The way that we are going to cover these topics will include gavel-to-gavel coverage of our local council meetings and school board meetings, as well as analysis and public opinion pieces of those meetings, with more in-depth interviews with our local, provincial, and federal elected officials and local bank representatives.
The HON's goal is to have a thriving base of volunteers creating content that matters to our community. Thank you very much for your continued support.
So that's that. Now, have you guys all read the letter that was handed out? So, one of the things that, with this new position that we're hoping to do, is have an interview with a rotating member of council and this goes for Ashcroft as well, once a month for about half an hour. So this would be something that, if you were willing to do this, would be about twice a year. And this would go more in depth into what council is currently doing. And we'd have some questions that we'd have in advance from the public, some questions from us. Nothing, not to make anybody look silly or foolish or anything like that. This would just be very standard questions. And we think that this would be something to help the council get their message out to the public more. Because not a lot of people come to the meetings, but a lot of people have an opinion. So if this is something that you're interested in doing, please think about it. We don't need an answer today. We are looking to do this as a trial run starting in maybe February, but really going in March. And yeah, so that's, do you have anything else to add to that? No. So that's pretty much the proposal and pitch from us. And that helps us. We hope that you guys will see that it might help you. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Karen, can I get a copy of your video?
Of course. Why don't I just read it?
Okay. I can copy it after and give this back to you.
Sure.
Thank you both. The hub activities have been a big success for Ashcroft. Everything that you guys have done has been pretty amazing for a small community. So we certainly look forward to that. And the interviews would be held where?
In our studio at the hub. Just because of the setup that we have, would just be easy for everyone. So
You can make it green screen like that one. Whatever you want in the back.
So you said half hour, once a month?
once a month.
So each council,
So it would be. What do you mean,
or would
sorry?
you rotate? So would Cache Creek do every month?
So yeah, so it would be the council would do every month,
Okay,
one time, hopefully a rotating member of council,
okay.
including the mayor.
Moving on to the minutes. Consider adopting the minutes of the regular council meeting of December 9th.
Second.
Any discussions? All in favor? Adoption carried. Business arising from the delegation. Any further questions? We deliberated whether we want to be part of the, what's Ashcroft done? We want to do exactly the opposite.
Then Ashcroft said no.
I do have a question. The questions are from yourself and from the public. How advanced would we get the questions? Like,
As
So
in
we're prepared.
advance as possible, because we would want you to have the appropriate information. So that is not something that we've worked out yet.
okay.
The kind of semi-plan is to kind of have the week prior, have it open to questions. And so as soon as we have those questions, we'd be able to give them to you. So it would be days, not months, but
Okay.
yeah, enough time to find the answer.
Yeah.
We are also asking, like Jackie Taggart, Brad Viss to be included in this, the local Indian bands as well. We're starting to film the school board meetings like we're filming this, but we're not going to be doing the interviews with the school board yet.
I would suggest that you devote a little bit of that half hour to just asking us, what has been going on in Cache Creek or what's coming up in Cache Creek, and give a little bit about that before you wanna ask questions?
100%. This is not a soapbox for by any stretch of the means, but this is a good opportunity to say exactly what's going on in town. Have that time, as much time as necessary. I'm saying half an hour, but it doesn't have to be half an hour. It can take as long as.
And also getting to know
At
each
least
of you
two.
as
People fall asleep
individuals.
after 25 minutes.
So, we won't show it all at once. We'll do 5.5-second clips so that we have their attention.
Some of us speak slower than others.
All right, we'll do your 7.
Is there any further discussion? We can mull it over and discuss it at our next council meeting, if we want to participate. Add that to next council's agenda. Business arising from the minutes? None. Committee reports, economic development, Councillor Peters and Councillor Coover. No meeting, no report.
There's an economic development, EDCA.
Or the AC something.
They're having a summit in Kelowna in March. But it looks interesting, but I don't have any information on it. But it might be worthwhile taking a little more notice of some of the economic development groups in BC and what they're doing and what they have to offer.
Budget and administrative services, Councillor Peters and Councillor Coover.
I move that, do we have to do that? I guess we have to do that. I move that we grant the staff request to close the office on February 14th to complete year-end filing process.
Second.
Discussion?
I didn't think we were wanting to close the office in one of our last meetings.
I think the discussion was not a regular closure, but that they can request closures.
I have to agree with Councillor Pittman. I think that closing the office is not a good idea. We have to bring extra staff in to deal with the traffic that may come in through the front door, but I definitely not in favor of closing the office.
Which, how would we, I guess Mark's not here to ask, but is it needed for all staff though? That's the question I have then, if all staff is involved in this process of the year end.
In general, the reason we have the closures in the past is because we physically move all the files. So we kind of spread things out everywhere and then we're moving things from in here into the vault, going through the stuff in the vault and getting rid of what's reached its maximum of how long we have to keep it for and all that sort of thing.
And how many hours do you figure that would take?
It took us a whole day last year.
Was that because it was so far behind?
No, they've done it every year.
Okay.
So the village office was closed for a day already previously.
Yes, as far as my understanding is they've done this every year for quite a while, just to allow that to happen so that they don't have to, Christina can do all the final stuff without having to take any phone calls and just allow us to make a mess, basically.
So we wouldn't be able, can we not have one of the clerks keeping the office open and the rest of the staff doing that?
I suppose we could, she would just have to take messages on the phone calls and that sort of thing.
Yeah. You just for today.
Yeah.
How much foot traffic is there generally in?
No one will be
Somebody's
here.
anniversary.
Nobody's coming.
Probably a lot of people's.
Further discussion?
I don't recall closing the office in the past.
We did that last year.
We did last year,
But it was because we were behind them.
Well, let's put it to a vote. All in favor of closing the office on February 14th, 2020? With the provision, let me restate that, sorry. As it reads, all in favor or opposed? All opposed?
Never decided yet.
Okay. You want to table it till next meeting?
I think I'd have some questions for the CEO.
So that we have to, somebody has
we
to
have
move.
to.
Move to table to the next meeting.
I'll move.
Second.
All in favor? Carry. Policy and bylaw review, myself and Councillor Peters.
Move that we receive and file November 2019 annual control report.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
What about?
You didn't vote on the last one. So you can just buy it anytime you want. Okay.
I was a little taken aback by the comment about the lady whose dog barks at coyotes and how she had to leave her dog outside and she tried tying it closer to the house at night. You know, unless this is a farm dog, any dog needs shelter. If she's doing that, I mean, I'm sure that our animal control bylaw officer would let her know these things, but just that statement is a little, made me think that's not, that needs to be addressed.
Maybe we're concerning the animal welfare.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we could ask for clarification.
Yeah. I mean, even those big, those huge walking bears, I'm sure they have a shelter in weather like this.
It's possible that they had shelter close to the house. We don't know that.
Yeah.
In form of a dog house, and as far as our animal control officer being on the private property to, I think that is a job for the SPCA. So whether the onus is on the animal control officer to report it to the SPCA or the village of Ashton, I'm not sure.
True enough.
But it's a valid concern, and if, I'm sure we can direct the CAO to look into it further and move it to the appropriate department. Any further?
Call it over.
Sorry?
Sorry, nothing.
Did you swear at me?
I'm sorry I did.
I thought that's what I did.
I just couldn't help myself.
Water, sewer, and garbage rates.
We have to
No,
vote.
we have to vote.
Oh, we still have to
No,
vote
we're
on
not gonna
that.
vote on that one, are we?
Yeah,
You have to accept the reports though.
And we moved to
Receive
second.
and file.
Not for you. Okay, should we receive and file?
yeah, the motion's on the floor, so now you just have to call a
Don't
question.
confuse me.
It's my dog.
Welcome to the new year.
You miss us.
Yeah, it's obvious I'm having a bit of trouble getting into the new year. Any further discussion on that? All in favor of receiving and file, thank you. Water, sewer, and garbage rates, recommendation number 1.
That we give first reading to the sewer and water rates for 2020. Oh, I can do them all at once. Okay,
Do the first 3 readings.
yeah, so I was doing the first one.
Second.
Discussion? I'd just like to see it tabled if possible, if we can still work into the end of January. Just some questions. One question I have for the CAO on the rates. So he's not here, and neither there's Christina, so.
Would the next meeting be timely enough for that?
Yeah,
We have
because
to
we have to
put it
have
in
a special meeting for the third, or for the final reading of it. And so I'm not sure where the time is.
Okay,
In order to have the utility bills mailed out by the end of January.
okay, well, I'll bring it up to what my concern is, and then council can deliberate. Charging citizens of Cache Creek for turning their water and off and on has always been a bit of an issue for me. I don't think that is something that we should incorporate in the bylaw. We have staff that are available during the course of Monday to Friday, 7:30 to 4:30, and that should be a service that we provide for our citizens. It's not something that we should be charging for. I don't know how that came about, and quite frankly, I don't agree with it.
Is that including new residents as well, or just for?
Anybody. If they're a citizen of Cache Creek, we shouldn't be charging them to turn their water on and off for whatever reason during normal working hours. Weekends, after hours, certainly.
I believe back in the day, that's how it was. It was only charged after hours and weekends, but not charged during the normal hours.
See, but we don't know how many people then actually utilize that a year.
It's not a huge amount, it's generally for repairs.
And is that any repairs with the water breakage, even if it's?
Yeah, usually if there's anything in their house that they can't get with their house shut up, it's probably 2 or 3 a month. It's not a big number.
I know seasonal businesses used to have their water would be turned off at the end of the season and then turned on again.
Well, we have a couple of residents that do that when they go away for the winter, they shut everything off, but I think it's only 2.
But that is a service that we should be providing our citizens. Public Works wise. To sit, I really have a problem with that.
I agree. We're increasing it,
Friendly
so.
amendment? Do we want to do a friendly amendment to the bylaw?
Just eliminating
Kid.
turning on and off.
Can we-
During
can we-
regular business hours.
Just wondering whether, can we make that change at the special meeting?
No, we have to
you
do
gotta
that
do it
now,
now.
because you have to do the 3 readings tonight, and then the 4th reading at the special meeting, in order to have it done in time.
Well, let's put it to a vote and it may die
Well,
on the
we-
So then
floor.
we need to.
We can either put it to a vote as stands, or we can do a friendly amendment if everybody's in agreement, which kind of sounds like it is. Or even though we could defeat the motion. So there's 2 ways of doing it, friendly amendment or defeating the motion, and putting it back on the table as amended.
And your amendment would be?
To remove the water off and on during normal hours from the bylaw. So we'd still have a call out, an after hours call out fee,
Leave it at the same?
because we would be paying overtime for that. So there's an additional cost to the village, whereas, as Mayor Santos says, it's during the course of their, it should be considered one of their duties, I believe, is kind of where you're going.
Mhm.
So number 5 and 6.
5, 6, and 7?
Yeah, 5, 6, and 7, 8. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Then it would be interesting to keep track of
I move
See?
on the amendment then.
what the stats are, and then it can be readdressed next year if it's, if we think it's an issue. Propose a friendly amendment to my motion, removing Article 5A, 6A, and 7A from the bylaw.
Second.
Further discussion?
We don't need a friendly amendment as a second.
It was the second.
All in favor? And are we gonna set a date?
Okay. Well, no, we have to do the other 2.
No? Okay.
Move we give second reading to the bylaw as amended in the first reading.
Any discussion? All in favor? Carried.
I move that we give third reading to the bylaw as amended in the first and second reading.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Carried. Okay.
Oh, we have to do, oh, gotcha. So we have to do, I did, just to make sure we have, that's just for the water, now we have to do sewer and garbage. I move we give first, second, and third reading to the sewer rates amendment bylaw.
Second.
I get it now.
As amended.
I'm a slow learner. No, because there's no amendment to that one. We're doing
Okay, it's the
sewer now.
same.
No, we're doing
Oh, okay,
sewer now.
Discussion? All in favor? Carried.
We give first, second, and third reading to the garbage collection disposal and rates amendment bylaw 812.
Second.
Discussion?
No, I don't want to, I'm voting already.
All in favor?
Sorry. So special meeting is next.
Okay. When's a good time? We don't have our new calendar up yet.
Not next week.
Yeah.
Then you're at the next meeting.
Can we do it later this week?
3:48 hours.
How many days we need for special? 3, don't we?
Pardon me? I think it's 48 hours.
Between. So we have it Thursday or Friday.
Thursday's better for me.
Thursday is the
Seminar,
updated
TRD.
We can have a little mini meeting there.
Thursday, Friday, or both. Unless it's Friday evening.
Well, Monday.
We could do Thursday evening.
Yeah.
Are you staying?
I won't, it'll be just trustees meeting
Yeah.
Thursday.
Well, Monday then, the 20th.
You don't need, necessarily need to be there, as long as we can get a quorum.
Would you be available?
Yeah.
Thursday night?
Yeah.
What time? 6 or 7. Christine, Thursday 6.
Okay, let's go 6 o'clock.
Thursday the 16th?
For 6? I don't think so.
No.
Zoning amendment bylaw number 808.
Final consideration and adopt zoning amendment bylaw 808, 2019.
Second?
Discussion. All in favor? Carried. Members of community facilities, myself and Councilor Defoe.
There's a letter of authorization in your packet. Kevin Geller, Christopher Holmes, and Paul Williams of Western Water Associates to allow them to contact property owners on the Summit Aquifer to obtain information related to establishing a new water source for the village of Cashmere. And I move to approve.
Second,
Discussion.
I'm surprised we have to give them permission.
They have to have-
I'd just go door knocking myself. but I know if it's easier because people are gonna be phoning the village office saying, who's that guy at my door?
Where is the Semlin Aquifer?
That's a good, that's the Lindau Park. So that would be well 8. Potentially well 8. Not necessarily well 8, but potentially well 8. And they'll ask a number of questions to meet with the people down that area and determine where they're going to do their drilling program based on what they find out. The closer to our pump house, the cheaper it's going to be for us, obviously. Village services and liaison. Sorry?
You have to vote.
I'm sorry. All in favor? Carried. Village is serious and liaison.
Never gets to do it twice.
Yeah. Councilor Defoe, Councilor Cooper. Well, actually, that would be, go ahead. I'll do the last.
I'm lost my mind.
Okay. Recommendation that council grant free use of the hall and waive security deposit for Family Literacy Day event, which is either January 28th or 29th. What is it, 29th ring a bell? Oh, because handbell starts that day, that's right.
Literally rings a bell.
Second.
It's therapeutic hour.
Discussion. All in favor? And I will read the proclamation of Family Literacy Week. Whereas literacy, numeracy, and other essential skills directly impact British Columbians' ability to improve their quality of life, earn sufficient income, participate in their children's education, and fully engage with their communities. And whereas improving the reading, writing, and other essential skills of all British Columbians is vital to the social and economic development of the province. And whereas research shows the strong influence parents have on the literacy development of their children, and whereas family literacy programs ensure that children have a solid foundation in literacy and lifelong learning. And whereas family literacy programs provide an opportunity for children and parents to learn together. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Santo Talarico, Mayor of Cache Creek, British Columbia, do hereby proclaim January 19th to 25th, 2020 as Family Literacy Week in the Village of Cache Creek.
The date. Oh, yeah. Well, on the agenda, is it wrong?
Well, somebody wasn't being very literate.
I just have a question for Jessica. Is there anything that council can do to help you with?
Just promote the day once I've got the poster made.
Okay.
Ashcroft just approved the last thing too, so I'll have the poster out, so I can send it and then, yeah, that would be great.
You know, I'd just like to point out that CD Saturday falls within,
I know,
you want a table?
yeah, I needed to ask you if I could be in 2 places at once. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Next report.
I have a BC Transit item that I'd like to include under this one.
Yes, yeah, go ahead.
Like, we had, short discussions in the past about whether Cache Creek would get on-demand service from, our BC Transit service. So, we can, but we have to send a letter to Clinton and Ashcroft, the other partners in the service, and ask them, ask for a meeting, ask them to share some of their time with us. So I'd like to make that motion that the Village of Cache Creek writes, the CAO writes to Clinton and Ashcroft CAOs to ask if we could have some of their on-demand time for the BC Transit service.
Further discussion. On demand being door to door.
Yes. And that will not cost us anything as long as there is that extra time available. If there is no time, then they would add time to the schedule and it would be an extra expense, but we're just asking for time if it is available.
For no charge, so should we include that in the motion? So that there's no finance,
Yeah.
in case there's a charge. Friendly motion?
Well, I mean, this is discussion, so,
If they say no, then it would come back and we would have to
Okay.
vote on it then, because there would be a cost.
Okay.
Right?
So, do you have a second?
I second it.
Okay, all in favor? Carried. Any further? On villages, services, and liaison. Protective services, myself and Councilor Cougar. Go ahead.
okay, Boston Flats. Recommendation, the council.
There is a, protective services is on here as well.
Yeah.
On the,
Yeah.
that was the one before.
But we're
Boston
going
Flats.
back.
F is before Boston Flats. Protective
Yeah.
services is on this sheet.
Oh,
And you're.
you just had to say it's intergovernmental relations, I'm in the wrong place. Okay.
Sorry.
All right, fine. What did we say about having a hard time? Okay, so Silva Workshop on Emergency Program Act Modernization. I gave a verbal report a few weeks ago, but this is a more formal report. And thanks to my co-writer, whose name is not on this. Martin put it into a readable format. But I wanted to make sure that this got on the agenda because the workshop that we just attended for the TNRD last week kind of fit in neatly to this which is on page 5. The report from that, and basically, and Councillor Peters, I think will back me up on this, what many of us discovered was that we're not really prepared for the next emergency, as far as having trained incident command system officers in place.
Not incident command, emergency.
Within the
operations
village,
center.
Within the village, yes. So, as I was looking over the courses at Justice Institute after the meeting, realizing they're very pricey, I thought we should have a more formal choosing for who's taking them.
EMBC actually offers them at no cost, and there should be a list of them coming out. No, there should be another list coming out shortly, and that's the 3 courses I've taken, have been through that, and there's been no charge other than what my travel expenses were. The other thing that we can do too, that Martin and I've talked about, is trying to host a course here, because then as many people as we want can attend it within reason. Well, the Lytton one, more than half of the class was from Lytton that I went to. So that opens it up at no cost and no travel cost if we host one here too. So I think that's something we should definitely look at.
So if we actually put together a team, we would be able to meet and make plans, all of the suggestions, all the good suggestions that he had for us. Right now, it's kind of one person's doing this, and a couple of people are doing that, and somebody else is doing this. And we just hope that it all pulls together if we need it in time. So,
At this point in time, Damien is certified as an EOC director, but he's also a firefighter, so it depends on what the emergency is. I've started the process. Again, I'm just started the process. Martin has the ability, but he also has many other hats that he wears, and Steve from Public Works also has the certification. But again, if it's a flood or a fire, those people are all tasked with other things. And at the meeting, he became woefully aware that Martin would be overwhelmed in an emergency situation, which is why I started doing it, because we found that with even with Kieran, continuity of business with the new Emergency Program Act is going to be one of the things that we have to do. There has to be a continuity of business plan. If your CAO is your EOC director, that becomes very difficult. So, again,
well, they're going to be, our province is going to be scrutinizing our emergency plans a lot more closely and telling us that we need to consult with different groups. So first of all, they're going to tell us how to put it together, and then they're going to be looking at it in detail to make sure that it meets all of their check boxes.
and most of it at our cost.
Hence why we have staff doing it.
Yeah, but staff's not always the best to do it because they've got so many other different,
I understand that, yeah, completely.
Lindsay is another one, isn't she? She's certified?
She's in the emergency plan that we have right now. She is the backup to Martin in the plan, but our plan is out of date. It was written in 2013, and a lot's changed since then. But the email that I sent to everybody, one of the key things that came out of that too is our plan has people that are no longer with the village listed, contact information would be out of date. So it's imperative that a plan be put in place for the village, that's updated. The plan itself, and one of the courses I did, we did a mock exercise of setting up an EOC, and it's overwhelming when you're in the moment.
I haven't, other than the local ones, I haven't taken part. So the question I have is, was there any discussion on the province setting up their own technical people with the expertise that are available in the event there's an emergency in a specific area, or multiple groups of people that can go. For us in Cache Creek, for instance, in 2017, they pick up here, they move here, and they take over the responsibility.
There are things in place. TNRD would be our go-to.
Yeah. TNRD came here in 2015.
15, yeah, but in 17 they didn't, because we really didn't know what we were doing in 2017, which piqued my interest. That's why I got involved in it. What we still have to be, that can't happen in the minute. That takes up to 72 hours to put into place. So even if TNRD does come out, we still have to manage that incident for the first 72 hours. So we do have to be cognizant and aware of what needs to be done. We need to know where the resources are. We need to know all of those things.
And the difference between 2015 and 2017 was 2015 was a localized event.
Yeah.
2017 was,
Multiple.
yes.
And then there's, it's called the Provincial Emergency Operations Center then kind of oversees everything, and it filters down as well too, and they help with resources and those kinds of things when it's more than just an isolated incident. So yes, there are resources available. EMBC2, one of the things that Steve said at our meeting, the workshop that we just had, was your first phone call is to EMBC and request a conference call, and then they set it up with your EOC and the key people that they have the resources and they know who, and they set that call up so that you can say, okay, I need this, this, and this. And those people are the ones that will say, okay, well, we can do this, and we can do this, and we can do that to help us out. But that, again, all takes time. So you have to, the village has to be prepared to react until those things can be set up, until those things can be put in place, and that's, so yes, a long-term emergency, like we were 13 days with the evacuation order, and really it went on after that as well, but it does take time. So the first few days, everybody's involved, and then once you figure out kind of what's needed, depending on what the event is, then, you know, Martin could come back into his role as CAO, and somebody else could take leadership of the Emergency Operations Center with him as a liaison and backup. But it's the critical first 72 hours are the ones that's what worries me.
So what was the feeling when you attended this? Was it an overwhelming task to get from what you're discussing?
How much there is to set up. They have 5 categories. There's the director, there's logistics, finance, information. This is
Information.
information officer, logistics. Anyway, there's a lot of things that need to be done in the first even 24 hours to set up, to get people in place where they need to be. If there's an evacuation, getting ESS involved and getting them, helping them get set up, finding out what they need, figuring out where the money's.
ESS will do that for themselves. Once we're called, then we do ours.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
But we lend assistance to, yeah. So it's overwhelming in that the scenario we did, and it was right after it happened in Toronto, where a crane had blown down in a building, and there was casualties, there was fatalities, there was a lot to deal with, so it wasn't a big event. But that's the best thing to be prepared for, because then if it's not a big event, then you're over-prepared. But if it is a big event, you're ready for it.
And the more prepared, the less overwhelmed you are.
Yeah.
So what's the first step that needs to happen at this point? Setting up a committee?
Because there are a lot of those people that either aren't at the table or don't know that that's what they're supposed to be doing yet.
So would this be a regional committee or just a Cache Creek?
It hasn't started internally, and then once we know what we have and what we need, then regionally, definitely, we need to reach out to our our partner municipalities and reserves to make sure that we all work together. There was a lot of discussion at that workshop about sharing resources, sharing, like if you can't get access to the equipment that you need, building a registry of who has what in the area so that even remotely we could send stuff to Ashcroft to be printed if we needed to have printed copies.
Making mutual agreements.
Yeah, so having mutual agreements, not just for fire, but for.
But not only municipalities though, when they say local authorities, they're also talking about you need to include the school district,
Oh,
you
yeah.
need to include the local health authority.
Yeah. In 2017, what I learned was that all the entities knew what to do to a point. We were in a perfect storm. Nobody was in town that needed to be in town. And so the only two firefighters that answered the call were one that had been on the department 3 weeks and one that had never been on a fire. Those were the only two firefighters in town that day.
John was there.
No, at the very start, it was Alana and Steve.
Don was at 7.
He was at Silent.
Or turned around at work and came back.
Yeah.
Well, he was,
The initial call, the only two people that came to the firehouse in the initial call were Alana and Steve.
what time was that?
Just afternoon.
Kier was away, Kat, our RCMP sergeant was away. I don't believe John was in town at the time that it happened. Our CAO was in, or our council, none of them were here.
Yeah,
Here.
the cameras.
Yeah, so like, it was a perfect storm. And so things happened, kind of just organically. People just stepped up and did stuff. And like I say, that's where I got involved because I'm bossy. But it's where I realized, and it wasn't until we got demanded that we feed 15 firefighters, fire department personnel from the BC Fire Commissioner's office 3 times a day, that we said, wait, what do you, no, we can't do that. Like, we're pulling stuff out of our fridges to feed these people. Like, we've all emptied our fridges at home. I've taken stuff out of my store. We pulled all the stuff from Tim Hortons because they had no power. And that's what we were using to feed people. And he goes, well, what's your task number? And I'm like, well, what's the task number? So,
When we evacuated Taylor 20 years ago, it was the same. It was lunchtime and nobody on the committee was there. And the mayor was even in Fort St. John shopping. He told me he was in the frozen food section at Overweighty at the time he got the call.
What is the ESS?
Emergency support services.
You're still on that?
Yeah, I'm the director.
So how does that fit into?
I help people for the first 72 hours, but in an event like that, I would probably help people in an extended period of time based on what the topic tells me I can put people up. So then I would basically have housing, food, lodging, personal care.
making sure basic
Making it safe.
necessities are
Yeah.
and safety.
So first order of business would be to strike a committee. From the striking that committee, then we would garner the information. We're gonna go to the province and say, you've developed this criteria. We're gonna need X amount of dollars to implement that criteria, or you're gonna come in and do it for us.
Not sure we want them to come in and do it for us.
Well, this is, I mean,
I think what we want to do is strike a committee and determine who the committee is first. And then, I guess, proceed from there.
with the agenda of the committee to determine what the pitfalls are gonna be for us, or the big points that we have to deal with. If that would help us go a long ways in determining where the funding is gonna come from to put all this criteria together that they're downloading on us.
Well, again, back in Taylor, we actually had monthly meetings for emergency preparedness way back when it was called PEP, Provincial Emergency Preparedness. And because we had monthly meetings, we had all of the players picked out for the different officers. And when we evacuated, we all knew what we were supposed to do, except none of us were there.
the success rate for a major municipality that has a whole pile of staff is gonna be so much greater than Ashcroft or Cache Creek for the two bands. This is where we have to focus on that. Sure, this is all fine and dandy, but, and there's a big but there.
When Martin, Wendy and I attended the information meeting in campus, we hammered that home quite regularly. Whether it was heard or not, I don't know, but we
I think it
stressed.
needs to be a louder voice in that setting. Because the reality is every rural community in
Yeah, and
province
that's,
is gonna have this challenge.
that's how we did it, is, you know, well, and it was perfect because we were in downtown Kamloops and we're all considered in the same funding pool because Kamloops is considered rural. I said, look out, look around you. We are expected to do the same thing with our 986 people as this city is expected to do. And they're like, oh, right. And we talked about recovery too, 20% to the city of Kamloops of a project is not insurmountable. It's not, it's, you know, a bit of a challenge, but for us it could be bankrupting. So there's a lot of things that, and we spoke on behalf of rural BC, not just Cache Creek, when we did it. So.
So we need a motion to strike a committee.
I will move that we form a committee initially, and look for members to fill out the, okay, what do you call it then?
ICS,
Okay, yeah, I see, yes.
Incident Command.
It's not incident command. Incident command is first responders. It's
They use the
emergency
same-
operations
yeah.
center.
But they use the same
Yeah,
protocol for the people,
it's I see
the
it.
same number of people. We use the same protocol. No,
It's EOC.
gives them.
They changed that a few years ago.
Second.
Any further discussion?
So this is an EOC committee?
All in favor? Thank you. Anything else?
That's it?
Just make a motion to send a thank you letter to unless it's already been done, to Fraser URV for their generous donation of $20,000.
For what?
It's already
It's already gone?
Yeah.
And done? Thank you.
What did they donate to?
they donated to the fire department again, for wildland firefighting equipment.
Oh, they did?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Nice.
And Martin and Christine are here, but we just wanted an update on the fire hall route.
It is finished.
Thank you.
And how about the floor?
The hall front.
Yeah.
We're-
It's a work in progress.
The community hall.
Oh, the community hall.
Sorry.
It was going to be done on the 25th?
Yeah, it's still in progress.
And the engine for warranty.
It's all fixed.
So, thank you. And just a comment on the Fire Fit 2020, we have started the process of raising funds for the Fire Fit 20, and Alana's been looking after that with an online auction to raise funds for the regionals in Delta and the nationals, correct me if I'm wrong, Alana, the nationals in Kamloops. Anything further under protective services? Under governmental relations, myself and Councillor Cooper.
Sure.
The Boston Flats rezoning application, and due to that parcel of land being on the fringe of Cache Creek's boundaries, they're asking, the TNRD is asking for our input. And they would like some comments, and they've given us 40 days to respond within a time period of 40 days if we have any concerns or otherwise.
concern would be, and I really isn't to do with the zoning, it's more to do with the development, is that Boston Flats were unable to, they didn't have potable water, I don't believe, for quite some time prior to the fire. They were bringing water in. That in the interest of safety for the whole community, that their water issues we need to make sure that their water issues are addressed and that it's working properly.
They're engaging everybody that needs to be engaged, in the TNRD is making that as part of their criteria, obviously, just like we would in our subdivision standards. So, we pass a resolution of support.
I guess, how would this affect our proposed modular home project in Cache Creek?
No idea.
I guess it would.
Who's ever the better marketer will get the cream of the crop. The other thing that is probably going to be a mobile home subdivision, not a modular home subdivision.
The one at Boston
Right.
Flats.
Or both.
The only way I can see it affecting Cache Creek is just providing more locals with homes.
Or alternatives, lower cost.
So this is just going to be the upper bench, there's no more development on the lower.
But they're proposing A and B, or 1 and 2. 1 being the upper portion, and 2 being the lower portion.
I didn't see it.
So
That's the
I
way
understood it, the plan was to do the lower portion first and then the upper portion, or?
I thought it was the upper
I thought it
portion
was
first.
the upper.
That's my impression, is they're gonna start up top. Due to various
Second
other,
exit then?
that'll be up to the regional board. They've identified that as a high risk, and St. Sands is the other one. And
So you need a motion for this, right?
yes,
On the
Second.
resolution?
any further discussion? All in favor? Carried, thank you. This is requested forward any resolutions they wish to be voted on in the 2020 civil conference by February.
I'm not sure if this is the platform for it, but if we could forward some kind of resolution concerning funding for the EPA, proposed EPA standards and upgrading of emergency plans for.
Considering they sponsored that workshop in Kamloops, I think this is exactly.
I think that's what they wanted, yeah.
So I would like to see us put a resolution together, and I'm sure we won't be the only community that says it, requesting
Assistance and funding.
assistance and funding to small communities. And by small, I mean
Under 1,000, or under 1,500, or under 2,000?
under 5,000.
Yeah.
Under the same.
I'll second that.
It's for which, our,
Pardon me?
what did you say this called?
It's for the resolution for Silga to provide funding to upgrade EOC planning and emergency planning for small communities of under 5,000 and under.
All in favor? Carried.
Sorry, who seconded?
I did.
Thank you.
Add that in my notes before we have that discussion.
And call for nominations. February 28, 2020 is the deadline for nominations if anybody's interested in this council. So we're supposed to determine if
Well,
anybody.
please say you're gonna have all this time coming up.
I still have a couple more months to get through. All this time, what time?
After education comes looking for a job.
That's true.
There's no free time.
There's no free time.
Any members of council are interested, I'm sure that our CAO can put you in the right direction.
It has to come from nomination, so it would have to come from the
From us.
Yeah.
I nominate you then. What are you asked?
I so decline. At this time.
Have some time.
Well, no, nominations will be held at the Sloga Convention. Deadline is
They
February.
can have it on the floor as well.
Yeah,
In fact, that's where most of them come from.
Yeah.
That's exactly it, yeah.
I don't know, we had some cards on our tables for people that were canceling.
Okay. Staff reports, information correspondence, new business, post office logo. Postmaster Jenny Monroe is giving us a little bit of a sketch. You'll see that in the photocopy that I put on your desks. What Ashcroft has done, basically, it just cancels the postage on any outgoing mail from our post office. So if any council has any ideas of what we should use, and I don't know the costs, just for some reason it didn't fly with previous councils. So I'm just bringing it forward, and if there's an appetite, I'll ask for submissions of what we should use as a logo, and then we'll see what the criteria is for what we have to come up with for funding, etc. And I can bring that back to council.
Would it make sense to use our village logo?
No, Cash Creek Market logo. Yes, I was thinking.
Which logo?
I was thinking about the car.
The car.
Okay.
The one that got our postage machine already.
Oh, there you go. The one that's on the postage machine already.
It prints the village logo with the postage.
Well, maybe we may short circuit this whole gamut, so thank you.
But that's only if we're mailing something from the village office.
Okay, I'll pursue
Well,
with
that's
Dan,
what you said.
and I'll bring any costs back to council.
Well, I would think costs would be relatively minimal if it's already in place on our postage machine.
I don't know how that is, that logo.
Yeah.
I'll find out the criteria anyway. I just wanted to ensure that council is receptive to doing that. And we would get worldwide exposure. Yes, because it may go to Italy. Italy.
Yeah, that's how Fredford once said, his sister was there. Yeah, she's in Italy again.
Questions from the public? Questions from the press?
Several months.
Gareth.
Yes. Several months ago, you guys were talking about a budget meeting. Is that still in the works?
We are struggling, yes,
Okay,
to get that done.
that's it for me.
The CFO is working, it's a work in progress, so.
It starts from the day we adopt the budget until the next year when we adopt the budget. Then it ends and then it starts again.
There was a fair bit of catch-up done this past year, so now we're on I think we're on a better footing for moving forward than we were even 3 or 4 months ago, so.
Awesome.
Thank you for your presentation this evening.
Thank you for having us.
It's a valuable service you're providing.
And it's fun.
It must have been fun the other night in Ashcroft with the first time I seen the stands full and the
That was
Drylands
absolutely
Arena.
awesome.
That was, yeah, we filmed the whole thing. It was really interesting. I've never filmed a sports event like that before, so.
Great
I like
community. As a note, you should take your
coach's
talents and have,
Coach's corner.
you steal my thunder. Every time I come up with something that's worthwhile.
With Santo and Josh.
Well, you do actually have to go through the footage because the scoreboard was screwed up.
It was screwed up for a short period of time.
No, it was screwed up the whole time. They fixed it, but they didn't correct the mistake. So they gave the point to the right person, but then they didn't remove the point from the wrong person. So Cache Creek actually won before the game was over. Or Ashcroft, like Ashcroft.
Oh, they didn't have to go over.
The fire department won before the game was over, but the way that the scoreboard was it
Oh,
was
'cause-
tied.
Oh, funny.
But we have proof, we could check.
Yeah, we can check.
I'm looking forward to the footage because I spent my whole game harassing people to spend
yeah.
money, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess I can show you the whole thing if you want. I was
Yeah.
gonna chop it up,
Oh,
but
that's good. They raised, the take was over $4,000 before expenses.
that's great.
Yeah. And I don't imagine the expenses were considerable because a lot of the stuff was donated and it was all volunteer, I believe. I'm not sure about the Village of Ashcroft stuff, but everything else was donated. We had players from the fire department team from Merritt, Lillooet. There was a couple of different places and then RCMP had some of the guys that used to be here came back and played and stuff. It was awesome. And the number of kids that were there and families, and it was just a great event.
Is there a tally of the people? Like the amount
I
of people?
don't think so, because there wasn't an admission, it was just by donation, so there's really no way to figure out.
They gave away 100 clappers. Because when I got there, Margaret said, we just gave our last clapper away and we had 100 of them.
Oh, yeah, I think there's at
Yeah,
least
we
2
ran
or 3.
out like early on, so there's still lots of people coming in when we ran out.
Yeah, it was nice to see you there and able to forward that to the media end of things, so
Yeah.
people could see what took place that evening, because it was actually a very, very, very good event. And a lot of hard work went into it by a number of people, just a ton of people, so. Just a
Sounds like
very
it's the
positive,
first annual, so
Yeah, right?
there's discussion already about next year.
positive media. Thank you.
Yeah.
We have a motion to adjourn. And
Wait,
Says closed.
Lisa,
okay.
we don't
we don't have it posted.
Unless-
I just left it on.
We left it on
in case
Facebook.
I had something.